Good afternoon and welcome to The Gray Matter, where we discuss more than just the hot topics and headlines of the day from a Black man's perspective. We appreciate that as a community, we are not a monolith, and every subject deserves to be explored with nuance, giving a view from all sides of the culture. So we're here to bring that to you every week with a little bit of fun, class, and some nuance. Our panel consists of three guys that are nothing alike, and you'll soon find out just how much we love each other in spite of our sometimes very big differences. I'm Billy Craig, and I'm coming to you on location this week from Louisville, Kentucky. And I'm joined, as always, by my partners in this circle of life, Timon, who I believe is all the way out in Eugene, Oregon somewhere, and Pumbaa, who knows where he is. I guess he'll tell us. I've been wondering where he's been all week. So, gentlemen, how you doing today?
Doing well. About yourself?
I'm glad I got an actual full night's sleep. It's first time in a few days. Been doing a lot of moving around and preparation even before we move. So glad to be here in Kentucky, hanging out with the in-laws. Got a break from the fam because they just up there with cousins and whatnot. And they've let me have a few minutes to myself. Maybe I'll break down and open up and start crying or something finally. I don't know.
Let it out.
Save it for the show. We need to save it for the show.
Right. There you go. Like, yeah, maybe I'll let out something controversial or something. I mean, no, crazy thing is I'm a family person. I enjoy having my family around, but man, I love when they go back to school. Just to get that like 6 to 8 hours, because I've been working from home and working for myself for like 15, 16 years now exclusively. And so I'm like, man, why y'all waiting so long? Because most of the people like here in Kentucky, they've been, and in the Midwest, I know they've been back in school for at least 2, I think they're in the third week already.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not a full week, but they've been back for a few weeks. Man, they talking about going back after Labor Day. Like, we're going to get back home this weekend, and I still got to sit at home with them by myself for a week. I don't know, man.
They grown. No, your kids
strong,
grown.
Baby. You got to be strong.
Your kids grown. They easy. It's when they 3 and 4.
Oh, I did that. No, listen.
We're on a road trip in Minnesota right now. We're in the home of the purple one, and
yes,
kids in the airport is a overrated experience. I promise you, it's a 0-star experience. I would not recommend. I promise.
If I can get a babysitter.
We've been that family on a cross country flight.
Ooh.
We've been that family. Like
any transfers?
The baby wouldn't stop crying, was throwing up, like that. The whole they felt sorry for us. We were that family. And it was a holiday, so it was like after Christmas, so it was literally the worst possible time.
Ooh.
And on the worst possible flight.
We only flew with my son a couple of times when he was little, to the point where he doesn't even remember. Like, we flew a couple of times. He was like, he wasn't even 3 yet, both times. And that was enough. He was, let me just say something. My son was perfect. That boy didn't sneeze. He didn't cough. He didn't poop. Like, he didn't, no vomiting, no nothing. He didn't do nothing. He didn't ask for nothing. He was the most even temperament child you've ever met. And we were still stressed. So by the time my daughter got here, I was like, nah, we gotta wait until she can kind of, fend for herself. But so I can only imagine them stories.
Yeah, my son is he in the discovery stage. So I'm gonna call you in a few years because he's been working on his throwing. So Sun Chips was flying across the plane, all kinds. It was bad.
Did he get his fingers right?
That was his form.
Moved across the plane.
His form was good. I was impressed because he got it 4 rows up and hit the lady in the back of the head. So I am impressed. And I'm apologetic, like sorry, but at the same time I'm like, yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
just got like in the Jerry Maguire where he was like, oh, you got an arm like that?
Yeah, we just gotta get your footwork together. We'll have it. We'll have
Tell
it.
Tell your son Uncle Billy said, keep changing their eye level. That's the key. You just got to keep the ball, keep it in the zone, but you want to nibble at the corners. The command. We'll get to the command later.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get it started then with our first topic. We're going to start with something that came across the headlines that caught my attention immediately. We all started chatting about this. It was one of them alerts. Not an alert for the rest of the world, but it caught our attention. And that was Aqib Talib. A lot of it was because, well, first of all, we've talked a lot about this. All of us having children play sports, youth sports, that kind of thing. And the story went, without going into a bunch of details, because I don't want to get too bogged down in it. Basically, there was a youth sports event, football, obviously. Aqib Talib, former corner, great player, came out of Kansas. And he basically was getting into it. Turns out that his brother, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm getting the story right, or if I'm getting it wrong, you'll let me know. But his brother, turns out, was wanted in connection with a homicide that took place where basically an opposing team, the coach, and we're talking Pee Wee football. We're not even talking about high school.
9 and under.
States on it. 9 and under babies.
Non-U game.
Football. Okay. They're out here playing football and apparently didn't like the way some of the calls went. And so the head coach ended up getting killed, and his brother, Aqib Talib's brother, is wanted in connection with this murder.
No, he ain't wanted no more. They got him.
Okay. All right. So, update, breaking news, they got him, right? Now, here's the point. The reason why I bring this up is because there were several other people who also chimed in on it, people who were familiar with the teams in that particular league. And they talked about not just the brother who was responsible, who they locked up, but they said them as brothers, meaning not just the brother who did it, but part of the reason why it came up in the news and you were seeing it on all the sports blotters was because apparently Aqib Talib is a whole mess. He takes this really seriously. Getting very emotional and involved. And so at first, and if you see the mugshot, they do look a lot alike. You can definitely tell they're brothers. So the point was, he was in connection with this. As a result, he came out and said that he resigned or left his position with Amazon.
Stepping away.
He was stepping away. There you go. And he
not stepping down. He was stepping away, which means he could possibly be allowed to return.
Yes. All right. And the larger question that I want to ask is because I don't want to focus just on Aqib Talib, or even it's not even really a matter of sports. We see this in politics. We see this in plenty of other areas of entertainment. We see this in a lot of different places. I've seen it with pastors of churches. I've seen it with people where basically if they have a son or a daughter or whatever. I remember when Tony Dungy's son, I believe it was about 6-7 years ago, his son committed suicide.
Right. And
so people were expecting that he was going to step down. And he was kind of like, what for? The question I have, though, as it relates to all this is, do we, or let me start here. Should people who have been very successful in their fields, people who are public figures, people who are well known, should they be responsible on any level for the behavior of people who are close to them that act out in a bad way? And maybe a better question or a follow-up to that would be, should we have to be reprimanded or fired or be held accountable at all from our jobs and places of employment, our occupations, as a result of what people who we are connected to and people that we know have done? Andre, you look like somebody that has family that does objectionable things from time to time. Why don't you tell us what you think?
All right. So I'm starting off with, because I know we're not focusing on Akeem Talib and this, but I am at least going to put a button on the story. So
no, he needs some time.
So the reports are he started to fight. So his brother just finished the fight. So, but 9U, y'all said football game. I do want to emphasize one thing: it was a scrimmage. So,
oh man,
wait a minute. Wait.
Y'all.
I did not. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now I did not realize.
You know what? Yeah, and look at the time of year. It couldn't have been nothing but a scrimmage.
I was getting ready to say, now that you mentioned it,
couldn't have been nothing but a scrimmage or a jamboree, one of them little fake tournaments that don't mean nothing.
So for our listeners that don't understand why we having this reaction, is not again, we're not saying it's right under any circumstance.
They didn't have on the uniform
in the scrimmage. The game doesn't.
No referees
literally does not count. And so the story on how it unfolded was that Akeem Talib and his brother both were screaming and yelling at the refs, and the coach from the other team was like, "Man, why don't y'all stop whining?" That was enough to set him over the top, start throwing punches at Coach Mike. Rest in peace there. Yeah. And then his brother finished it off with gunshots. And so that I just wanted to put that there. So, and the only reason I'm using that caveat is because for this instance, Akeem Talib deserves whatever he gets as well, because you started a fight that ended up with somebody being murdered. So I don't think they just ain't gonna let that slide.
He definitely need to lawyer up at the very least for all the civil suits coming his way. At the very least, they're gonna get it. He weighed like what, 80?
Yeah. He's very well done.
And they about to take a chunk out of him.
Yeah, and his brother played in the league too, but we all understand in life. The more famous one is going to get the headline. So this is how this became an Akeem Talib thing. But same reason, Simone Biles' brother got arrested, and it turned into Simone Biles' brother got arrested. And they never. I don't think they ever mentioned his name. They're gonna go whoever the famous one is.
Nicki Minaj's brother. Right. I don't even know what his name is. In fact, I don't even know what her real name is. Her government name. I don't even know what her government name is, but I know.
I know it. It's hard to pronounce because it's got 5 syllables. That's the reason why they were sure. I'm just being serious. Yeah.
But I don't on a granular level, this ain't G Money and Nino. I'm not my brother's keeper on most of these instances. Because I feel like once you reach a certain level of grownness, you are responsible for your actions. Now, but this is where it becomes important on whether you separate. Everybody can't go on your ride. So, if you continue to roll with that person, now you are semi-culpable just from the standpoint that you haven't distanced yourself away from them. Now, if you have separated yourself, if you pull the Aaron Rodgers' whole family can commit murders, and Aaron Rodgers is literally not culpable. He'd be like, I ain't talked to them joints in years. Drew
Brees was like that. Drew Brees was like, I don't know what my mama doing.
Yeah, so
I gave you some money and we don't even talk. Yeah, I get it.
So I feel like if you
Brian Gumbel,
yes. So if you in those situations where you finally got something and you have people who you can, because we all got warning signs. We all know the cousins, we got the brothers, we got the warning signs of who gonna mess it up for me.
It's why we ask who all over there.
Right? Yes. Literally.
So yeah, so a long story short for that, I don't think I'm responsible just because I've distanced myself away from my circle is real small, and my circle involves y'all. I know y'all ain't gonna do nothing that's gonna put this show at risk or put me at risk. So other than us making offhanded comments that might have mothers of ugly children looking for us, that's about all I got.
Or gay rock people.
Or gay rock people. Or gay rock people. They might be looking for us too. So.
You're still getting them comments. It's look, I'm gonna give y'all that man personal email. Okay? Him and Barney brother.
But yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at with it. What do you think, Paul?
In that instance, yeah, he is definitely responsible. However, like you said, when you get to a certain point, you got to cut loose of certain people who are anchors, right? Yeah. Like you got people. I like to call them balloons or anchors. You either take me up or you take me down. And if you taking me down, I can't be around you. I had a buddy like that when I lived in Florida, and it just got to a point where you couldn't take this cat nowhere because every time you went somewhere, he would get in a fight with somebody important. Like, bro, what is you doing? Chill. And you just can't take that guy no. You know what I'm saying? Like, you messing up me.
I'm only laughing because you said something important. Like, we in here with 5,000 people, and you went for the executive vice president of the whole tournament.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, so, everybody got one, though.
Well, until you don't.
Until you don't.
Until you learn to keep your distance. Look, man, there are certain people that I love that I will never be their plus one because I don't know how I've been represented in my absence. I love them and I'll deal with them and I'll answer the phone every time they call. And if they want to go get something to eat or whatever, we'll sit down, we'll chop it up, but it'll just be us. It won't be no group of people around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. But as far as Talib, man, you know, and I'm gonna keep Talib fan because I'm a proponent of, ignorance, especially out of my football players. I like my football players ignorant and violent.
Right on the edge. All the time. And until the ball is snapped, then I need you to get right up on, like, go ahead and get over there.
Right. So, it's just hard to watch him wipe out like this.
I wonder, and I thought about this. This was years ago because this isn't just about like athletes. We see it with politicians. We see it with any walk of life. I remember very vividly, and I want to say it was about 6 or 7 years ago. I don't remember exactly when it was, but I remember when Lawrence Fishburne's, the famous actor, I remember when his daughter came out and decided, I want to say her name was like Savannah. I don't know if that was a stage name. I don't know nothing about it other than she came out and decided she wanted to be a porn star. And everybody thought it was going to shut down his career. And he was like, I think he put out like a little short statement, was like, look, man, my daughter's grown. And I did what I could. And whatever issues we've had within the family, I ain't got nothing to do with this decision. And that's on her. She had a lot of angst and anger towards him. I also remember when Tony Dungy, and it was around that same time, maybe a little bit after, but I remember when it came out about his son committing suicide. He had some mental health issues and things like that, so he committed suicide. And he made a couple of comments about it. He talked about it privately, and he also, I think, mentioned it in one of his books. But people were thinking that maybe he was going to fade to the distance and step back. At the time, he was still coaching, but after that, he went to NBC. And people thought he was going to just kind of fade. He was like, nah. Like, matter of fact, I'm actually going to lean into it because there's plenty of other people who have family members, children, spouses, whatever, who have mental health issues. We did everything we legit could to help with it. There's nothing we can do. We have friends. We've experienced that in our own families, things like that. I guess my question then is, do we sometimes have the wrong expectation? I'm not talking about like the key to lead. I'm thinking like Michael Vick. Part of what happened with him was he was the big fish because he had that big, contract with the NFL, with the Falcons at the first time. And so he became the big fish and he refused to cut bait and disassociate himself. It wasn't like just being out, keeping it real, staying down with the hood kind of thing, where it's like, you change, man. And because he wouldn't disassociate himself, he wouldn't turn on his brother and other ones. He ended up being the one who really took the fall. But I guess my question is, do we have some maybe do we possibly, as a society, as a culture, do we possibly hold them to a standard that, frankly, isn't fair? Like, I look at what you mentioned, Aaron Rodgers. I hate that he had to do it, but I think sometimes people look at that and be like, man, that's cold-blooded. No, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. If you got family that's acting up, man, listen, it hurts me more than it hurts you, but it ain't going to hurt that much.
Right? We live 3,000 miles away from the nearest relative.
Yep. And there's a reason. There's a reason.
Hey.
Good reason. And you don't have to like the reason. I just wonder sometimes as a society, do we hold these people, like I said, just a few examples, like, hey, do we hold these people to some standards? Again, I don't want to mix these together. Clearly, the Talib brothers are like-minded in their behaviors. But I'm talking about when people are sometimes feeling like, are we really separating ourselves enough for the right reasons? And the fact of the matter is, I kind of feel like we need to hold people to account, but we need to be very mindful and very cautious of holding people accountable for stuff that has nothing to do with them. And I'm even talking about, like, when we think about, I'll even get as close as say, not just brothers and sisters or parents and children, I'm even talking about like spouses. I think there's a very fine line there where if you're married and you're in an actual marriage where you're actually, living together, you see each other all the time. Like my wife, if my wife does something, then yes, I should have to answer for it, but I don't know that it should require that I have to, I don't even want to say apologize, but the fact is she's a grown woman. Mm-hmm. She's got her own behaviors. And unless I'm directly...
but that's your wife. You are directly...
I'm saying unless I'm directly responsible for it, because my point is I feel like sometimes we forget that just like you can be sitting there like, man, I had no idea like that my wife was dealing with this because she never told me. It happens all the time. Andre.
Well, but this is about, so when it gets, there's different levels, obviously. So when we talk about spouses, there's conversations that need to happen prior to certain things. So, perfect example, Patrick Mahomes. I know y'all wondering, what does Patrick Mahomes have to do with this conversation?
No, I know where you going. I know exactly where you're going.
That's what I like.
So his wife will say is active on social media. But I am the face of the NFL. Life ain't fair. It comes, and I get it. But when you get $500 million, life becomes not fair. So you can't act on social media the same way my wife would act on social media.
I mean, hey, babe, they just gave me that contract, 10 years, $500 million. You ain't got no Twitter account no more.
No, dude, or everything has to go through a publicist.
Well, it's all burner.
Right.
Right.
So you don't get to voice your true feelings anymore.
No.
You don't get to say, I hate the wide receivers is dropping passes. Like, you don't get to do that. Like, that ain't what it doesn't come with that job. And that's what it becomes when you are with somebody that's that famous. It becomes you being his wife is your job at that point. Mm-hmm. I know feminists gonna be mad about that. We're gonna talk about y'all in a second. But on that statement, where it comes is your job is wife of Patrick Mahomes. Like they never talk about her name either.
And listen, and if she the one to get if my wife get that kind of bag, guess what? I'm husband of like Sharice, like for real. I'm like talking about them aliases. I'll be Pickle Rick 2022, Pickle Rick 2021. I'll be all kinds of aliases and burners because no. But that's a responsibility that I feel like I have. But we're also in a loving relationship.
Right.
Later this afternoon, I got to go a couple hours away and go be my wife's husband.
Yes. I do it all the time.
Because in that room, she is far more important than me. If I care about me.
Man, listen. My wife is far more important to me in most rooms, to be honest.
Yeah.
If it's not a baseball, football field, a gym, or a church building, I'm pretty much doing whatever she feels like we need to do.
I mean, you want to stay married, don't you?
Hey.
Right, y'all did that at the same time. Hey.
Right. I kind of enjoy the way I'm living. Leave me alone.
Too. I got a good life.
Yeah. But when it comes to siblings and just different people that you associate you with, it just comes down to, I think it boils down to, you got to cut bait when you know things aren't right. Even, and this isn't just for rich and famous people. Like if you got a job, I don't care if you just got a regular, job making $35,000. Like it perfectly fine. If somebody else is trying to threaten you being able to make that $35,000, you need to let that person go. Yes. And that's just what it is. Like for last example I give, next year, taking a trip to Greece. And we started asking people, hey, y'all want to go this? And people were like, hey, I didn't get an invite.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Because I literally had the conversation with somebody said, well, we going international. And if I can't trust you to not start a fight. Now, if you start a fight over there in international waters, because I am who I am, I will jump in and help you not get killed. But if I get back to the resort and find out that we fighting over some dumb stuff because of you, now me and you fight. Like now we got a problem. Like so.
I'm taking your passport with me.
All I'm saying is everybody can't go. That's advice for everything. Whether everybody can't go where you trying to go.
Boy. You ain't saying nothing but a word.
Boy,
that right there. Because I'm gonna tell you straight up. By the time this show actually makes it, I will have gone through Cincinnati. I will have drove through the 8th section, and what the Bible says, like a thief in the night. I done came and went. By the time y'all realize there's a reason why I don't, and I love, and I mean this, I love my people.
I do.
I just don't love you enough to be out here like that, risking it all for something that happened back when we was in 4th grade. I'm sorry.
Bro. I don't even remember why you don't like me. I don't.
Yeah, pretty much. Well then, speaking of the comment section that's about to fill up because Andre want to be mad and pick fights, we're going to talk about women. Women and the way that there's a reason why hair stores stay open and lashes and Spanx are a thing. They exist for a reason. I'm not saying that they're the only people who are consumers, but I'm saying women are definitely. There's a reason why Dave Chappelle, remember that from Nutty Professor, women be shopping, right? Women are definitely willing to be consumers. My Amazon account says so. That being said, there's been a really big topic, and I saw this article. It talked about, and it was interesting the way it broke it down. I'm a numbers person, right? I'm a numbers and words person because I feel like it gives context to the conversations that sometimes we overlook. And it was talking about how, I want to say it was something in the neighborhood of the WNBA brings in roughly, the NBA brings in roughly 73 times more than what the WNBA does. I want to say it was like 73%, or 73 times, excuse me. And then it also talked about the salaries and the disproportionate salaries, but there's been a lot of complaints about disparities in women's sports, not just in the WNBA, but we're talking soccer, especially soccer. And people were talking about, oh, well, yeah, but the women's, soccer team is so much better than the men's, and yet they don't get the endorsements and the money and things like that. So anyway, this issue came up with the WNBA in particular because people were complaining about their salaries, and especially when you consider something that we've been talking about regularly about Brittany Griner. Everybody's been so caught up on that, and I appreciate it like last week. Paul brought out the vial. It literally shows that like tablespoon of what now has her looking at 9+ years in a Russian prison. And we forget that the reason why she's over there is because she makes like 3 times more in Russia than she did playing ball.
12.
Excuse me. Thank you for the number. 12 times more. So actually, that's her real job, right?
Right.
She got fired while she was working her real job. She got put in jail while she was working her real job. We know her because she's an American athlete. But the fact is, she was over there making real money because we don't necessarily invest and support women's sports in this country the way that they do overseas, like in Europe. That being said, a lot of the complaints and a lot of the more liberal feminist voices out there have been talking about how we need to support women entertainers more. They need to be making more money. And yet I brought up the lashes and the Spanx and the nails and the hair in my Amazon bill because I want to pose this question this way. Who's actually responsible? Why is it that men should be responsible for putting in when women now have the capacity, they now have the money, they now have the resources to be able to, we're not talking about 70, 80 years ago when we still lived in that society where men were the breadwinners and they controlled all the money. Like women could be pouring into and investing into women's sports and women entertainers on all different types of levels. So
I think they support the entertainers. It's just the athletes they don't do anything with.
So the question
is, they support Beyonce. They support Madonna.
Okay, so the question is, if women do not care about women's sports enough to put their money behind it, why should men? And I'm gonna leave that for you, Paul, because you sound like you. Because full disclosure for you guys who don't know the behind the scenes stuff, Paul watches. He's the only person I know who watches more women's athletics than my grandmother and my aunt. Like, I'm here in Kentucky. Let me tell you something. They love. I'm in a room. You guys can't see it. I'm in a room where Angel. McCautry? He used to play for Louisville. Okay. They love Angel McCautry. Okay. She is like everything here. I'm in a room full of nothing but Louisville Cardinal stuff. And it's a bunch of women's basketball. They love women's sports.
We'll tell them to pray for Shoni Schimmel because she just got arrested about a month or two ago for choking her girlfriend on the reservation out here.
She did.
Okay.
Hey, our point guards are serious at Louisville. That's all I know. Go ahead.
Louisville, yeah. Okay. They like the Talib brothers out here. Okay. They take their crossovers
them Schimmels,
seriously.
Yeah.
That being said, though, I'll drop that off with you, Paul. Like, if women don't care to put the money behind it, then why should men be held accountable? Why should we care?
I don't know. Why should we? I mean, to be honest with you, I think women don't respect women who compete athletically more so than men don't respect them, in my opinion.
Well, why? That I agree with you, but why? Because I want you to go there. Because I have my theories. I want you to go there. Why don't you think they do?
My wife and I have had a conversation about this, and she says at around 8, you pick subconsciously what type of girl you're going to be.
You're going to be. Yep.
You're going to be a girly girl, or you're going to be a tomboy, or whatever the hell whatever that is, you pick. And it's like they, for whatever reason, they draw a line in the sand. I don't understand it myself. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to run and jump. It's fun. You know what? Real talk. Like, I don't understand why.
I miss running and jumping. What are you talking about?
Right. The only reason I don't do it now is because it hurts.
Exactly.
You know, and the feeling, the high you get from competing is something I wish everybody could feel.
Yep.
So when I see people thoroughly enjoying themselves, really getting after it, I love it. Kids, boys, girls, men, women, I love it. You know what I mean? It's why I love watching the soccer, the women's soccer team. I don't like soccer. I watch those girls play though. You know what I'm saying? I love hoop. I love women's hoop. It's a different game than men's hoop.
Totally different. Yeah.
It's a different game.
Almost not the same sport. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that if women want more pay in women's sports, women are going to have to support it. That means that, the stands are full at the men's game. So it's not just men there. They support the men that compete. Why don't you support the women that compete? And why are you looking for subsidies? There you go. Subsidies to when you're demanding and establishing independence.
Yeah. You're literally asking for me to supplement you, but you're like telling me, like you're doing it with your finger in my face, telling me what I better do in the interest of fairness. When the fact of the matter is, it's like, that's not equality.
No.
Because you're still dependent.
Right.
What say you, Andre? You seem to know a lot about women sports and women being choked out. And this is right in your wheelhouse, right?
I'm a sports person, so I get it. Now I'm gonna start this conversation with if you can't stand not being offended, don't listen to Bill Burr's comments about the WNBA and women. Now, if you want a dose of reality, check him out because he's 100%. Yeah. He's 100% legit with this. So I've told my nieces and my oldest daughter, who's now 13, this in life, that if you would like to be with a significant other, want to find a mate, you have to start doing things that those mates like to do. Mm-hmm. Men like sports, men like video games, men like movies, and so stuff like that. So I'm like, so you need to, I ain't saying you got to pick all three, but if you
develop some familiarity with it,
at least develop some familiarity so that you have something to talk about. Because men, we real simple, but if you don't mess with sports at all, me and you gonna have a hard time communicating because that's where some of my life is revolving around. So, I know I took a road somewhere, but I promise I'm coming back. So, this road comes to, like Paul said, when you go to Bengals games or Eagles games or whatever, them stands ain't all men. Like it's not 90-10 men to women. Like women are going to those games just as much. And some of that started because they were doing this because this is what they found men to attract. Right. So men don't have to watch women's sports. Like they don't. So it is going to take them as women to take the initiative to do this, even though that's not what's going to get them a man. They still have to do this and buck the trend because right now, like the NBA games are probably 60-40, men versus women. Women are at the NBA. And so I know you said it was a different sport, but the fundamental rules are still the same.
Well, yeah.
It really makes no sense why women won't go to a WNBA game other than the fact that they just don't want to go to a WNBA game. It's not
right. It's way cheaper.
It's way cheaper. And you get a better fan experience because you're sitting closer because the arenas aren't as big. There is more interactive. In the WNBA, the players are more accessible because
they can actually hear you.
They can actually hear you, and they're not as famous, to a degree. So you actually have a better opportunity. You have a way better opportunity to meet Andrew McCautry than you do LeBron James.
Yes. LeBron James don't want to meet you.
That's right.
Stu Bird is glad that you showed up. Thank you for showing up. You know what I'm saying?
And meant it when she told you that.
Right.
So when we're looking at that, like, it's not the fact that men need to do anything. Like, this is literally 100% on women? Can men do a better job of saying, hey, I'll give it a chance? Cool. All right. But again, this gets back to our conversation about single life and loneliness. If women start watching sports,
guess who's going?
These men are going to start migrating over. Like, well, this is what the ladies like. So let me at least give it a shot. I didn't
down to the WNBA game. There's some broads down there, guys.
I didn't watch women's soccer until my niece became a soccer player from Mississippi State. Like, and so it's not. I mean, it's a wonderful sport. Now I watch it during the Olympics. I watch it at the big times, but I don't. It's not an everyday kind of occurrence. But now it's like, it's kind of dope. Like to sit down and watch. But most men aren't open-minded enough to even give that a chance, because if there's an opportunity to watch reruns of an old college football game versus a new soccer game, guess what? The Alabama Florida 1993 Sugar Bowl is going to win out. So it is definitely going to take women to have to push this movement. Like there's no other way around it.
I'll take it a step further. I didn't know Mississippi State had a women's soccer team until Andre started telling me about his niece who's at Mississippi State. Right. And then I happened to just like pick up on it, just tacitly kind of following it, because I'm like, oh, okay, that's right. Something was playing in my head. But I hear it's interesting. My wife, she will, to your point about the whole, like, you kind of have to do it because women, they kind of pick up on it because they know that's the interest of other men in their life, their significant other. I think about my wife and how my wife is not a big, like, football fan. She's not really into sports. But if I mention Bengals to her, the first thing, she'll say? She'll be like, well, did they get enough help? Did they get a line so that Joe Burrow don't get sacked all them times? She doesn't get caught up in the news. She's not watching NFL, Red Zone. She's not looking at the Sunday shows. She's not watching Countdown. She ain't doing, Good Morning Football, none of that. But she's familiar enough with it because of my connection to it. Same thing with baseball. I remember years ago, I was dating somebody, and she was just like, is Griffey going to come to the Reds? Well, that was because that was a conversation that she knew that I was having with other players back when he was still with the Mariners back in the 90s. Now, what's interesting, though, I'm kind of with Paul on this, though. And this is the part where, well, pretty much any time I'm kind of in line with Paul, it's about to be some foolishness. But that being said, I thought about my favorite players growing up as a kid. My first favorite football player was O.J. Simpson, just because he was popular when I was really little. Then it was Walter Payton. And then when I first actually started playing, this is when my friend BB, he took me, he was playing football. It was Lincoln Heights Tigers. So I'm playing, and at that time, the big name, because I was a running back, right? I started as a receiver, then I was a running back. So the big name then was Eric Dickerson. Now, my parents weren't going to let me get a curl, but the goggles, the whole night, like, the reason why I bring it up, and then it continued on, right? Then it went from Eric Dickerson to, I really got hyped over the Bengals, right? So it was James Brooks, it was Eddie Brown. It was pretty much anybody who I could identify with at the skill positions. And then it was Deion Sanders. And then I kind of, like, that's where I locked it in, right? Back when he was with the Falcons and then before he moved. I bring those names up because of something very important. And I brought it up in the opening of this particular segment, talking about the lashes and the hair and the Spanx and all that. Because here's the thing. Growing up as a kid, not only did I run and jump and want to perform like them, I wouldn't mind looking like them because I saw them. I would see them in, when they were doing the interviews after the game. And it wasn't just a matter of I want to run and jump. Like, I want to just be able to have the breakaway speed of Eric Dickerson. I saw Eric Dickerson with his shirt off too. And I was like, oh yeah, I got to give me some shoulders. You know what I'm saying? I got to give me a chest. I got to, build up my body. The ugly part of it, in my personal opinion, is that what Paul said, I think, deserves more time in the conversation, and that is girls are often having to choose between beauty and
strength,
being an athlete, and strength. And it's almost like when you make beauty and strength opposed to one another, that's why the Serena Williams of the world get so much popularity, because in Black circles in Black America, it's almost like she didn't have to choose. Mm-hmm. Regardless of what you think about
never have to choose.
The point is, though, a lot of times people are not, the way that they market the athletes, it is sometimes difficult because the standards of beauty that we hold up in the culture, when you look around and you see women athletes, they don't always match those standards of beauty. And see, that's the thing I feel like we have to talk about. If we're really going to deal with it, that's the reason why the sports aren't more popular. That's the reason why there's not more eyeballs, is because there's nobody putting out there to say, this is the face of this sport. This is the face of this product, because the people who are considered the standards of beauty are not people who we look at and think they're athletic. How many times did Serena Williams how many times did people say she was strong, she was built like a man?
Okay, if we go back to the last episode, it's a lot of ugly babies out there.
Okay. All right.
I'm just saying, like, it's sport. They don't want to go to sports because those girls aren't quote unquote beautiful. That's why they don't want to go watch basketball.
No, I'm only saying that's why parents are not pushing their children to that, because subconsciously they're basically saying no. Basically, what they're saying is go choose to be beautiful rather than choosing to be a competitor, and they really shouldn't be.
Like, they really shouldn't be beautiful. That ain't up to you. Nobody chooses to be beautiful.
You can just look the best you can with what
right. But that's not up to you.
But what I'm saying is, I'm sorry, Andrew. But what I'm saying is, I'll say it like this. I'll just be blunt with you. I personally don't find Serena Williams to be that aesthetically pleasing and attractive, but I can appreciate the fact that the way that she was marketed, the way that she takes care of herself, I don't find her to be unattractive. I don't look at her and feel like, oh, well, she chose one or the other. I'm only saying that there are very few female athletes who get to be one or the other. Or, I'm sorry, get to be both instead of being one or the other. Go ahead, Andrew.
Well, but and I think this will put at least a decent sized bow on this, is if you look at how women's sports are now being marketed, you can tell they're being marketed by men, because they just saying, hey, get on Instagram and have suits and things like that. So some of the most popular WNBA players, I promise you, have millions of followers. Mm-hmm. More than half of them are men. Mm-hmm. Still not watching the games, because all you're doing now at this point is saying, go be beautiful. And we'll appreciate your beauty, but I'm still not watching your basketball game. And we're not going to until women start doing this. Like it. So, I mean, and there are a lot of attractive women like in the WNBA. Like,
absolutely.
And
absolutely.
If you want to,
that's not the problem.
Well, no, it's not. And if
it's not, the problem is not the girls aren't pretty enough. Don't do that.
Show me a women's track meet, and
boy,
I was just going to say FloJo, and that's the thing about it. Even as a teenager, nobody had to make me watch FloJo run. I just showed up because she was impressive, and the nails and the hair and all that, like that was just a plus.
So. Yeah, women, this is on you. This one's on y'all. To put a wrap on this one. If y'all want the money to change, if y'all want, the fact that LeBron James makes more than your entire league is because LeBron James is worth more than your entire league. Y'all not going to be worth more until y'all get out there and support them and bring in the revenue to make that happen.
Make me show up.
Them's the facts.
Well, that takes me to our third topic today. Rap music.
Oh, God.
Yeah, rap music. I know there's some people on this panel that the quickest way to offend them is to call them a rapper.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I ain't saying no names. I'm just saying that, there's some of us that rap music, we have a real serious love-hate relationship with it. Mm-hmm. And speaking of that love-hate relationship, one of the things is always, the stigma that's always been attached to it, not because it's completely false, but because of the way that it has been presented, the way that it's shaped, is talking about the RICO, right? Talking about the underground, if you want to call it, the criminal parts of it, right? This idea that there are certain elements that come part and parcel with hip hop. Now, I bring that up because, unfortunately, from the very beginning, I'm talking the origins. We're talking early hip hop back in like the early mid 80s, right? Before it was anything like what it looks like today. There's always been a negative connotation that gets associated with it. There's always been stigmas and labels and things put on it, and it was largely unfair. A lot of that was intentional. Mm-hmm. I think of, again, this happened in the 80s, so we're talking about the Reagan administration, right? We're talking about the very intentional and purposeful demonizing of hip-hop music. Treating them because it was black men, that it was a criminal thing.
Young black men.
Young black boys, when the fact of the matter is, it was actually intended to empower by basically giving them an outlet. Like it's almost like COVID, right? If you don't understand the music, that's your business, but some of the label was very unfair. That being said, it is no longer the 80s. Ronald Reagan, I guess you could say, fortunately, he's been gone for a long time.
He lives.
And so now, yeah, that's my boy, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, we're well past the Reagan administration back in the 80s, right? We've long since gone past the, congressional hearings about, Luke and putting explicit labels on music. All that stuff is long since past us. We're decades past it. The question I want to throw out there, because of the way that the genre has changed so much, has the label, the stigma, the negativity, has it finally caught up with hip hop? What I mean by that is, have we finally gotten to a place where the genre has lost its usefulness when it comes to building up the culture? Mm-hmm. And since I'm talking to two people who are familiar with hip hop music,
slightly,
you have a connection, just a little bit. What say you? Either one of you. Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm gonna be honest. I don't listen to much rap anymore. That used to be the only thing I listened to. I don't listen to much of it anymore. I find myself listening to a lot of the stuff that my mother played when I was a kid. A lot of 70s, 80s R&B, stuff like that.
You got Midnight Star on repeat?
Not Midnight Star, but definitely Lakeside.
Ooh.
Definitely some Slave.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Steve Arrington. Wow.
Yeah. Commodores. You know what I'm saying? Not Lionel, Commodores. You know what I'm saying? LTD. You know what I'm saying? With Jeffrey. You know what I mean? Yeah. See, my vibe is different now. I like
Stranger.
Yeah.
You should listen to that Stranger when y'all get done.
But oddly enough, when I was a rapper, like a real one, like back in the day, I didn't listen to any rap back then because I didn't want to get influenced by anyone. So I listened to a lot of stuff that didn't have any rap to it. But like everybody else, we like Tupac, the Biggie, and all that. But those people ain't coming back. We ain't got none of those no more. I mean, we got Kendrick, you got J. Cole. In fact, Kendrick's in town tomorrow. I'm gonna check him out tomorrow night. But there's not a lot. These guys they doing now. It used to be you had to be good at rap to rap. Now it's do you know somebody who can put some money behind you? That's it. You don't have. That's why I don't like it anymore. To be honest,
there's no getting discovered.
There's no talent.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's no beats and like where's the beats and rhymes? You know, like even when we talk about like, let's go back to like those Drake battles, I guess, where it wasn't about who could rap the best. It was about who had more fans. And anybody who really knows anything about rap knows that Joe Budden washed Drake in that battle. Washed him.
Yeah.
You know, same with Push. Well, Pusha T. Who cares about Pusha T? I do. He can rap.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and that's part of it. We had in the group chat. I was saying Eminem got to come outside. Right? Y'all was saying he don't have to. Y'all was saying he don't have to.
He has absolutely no incentive to come out.
He ain't relevant. It ain't about relevant. It's about rapping. Who can rap better? And that's not even a part of it anymore. It's about, you know, chains and drugs, man. Jewelry and drugs.
And before I throw it over you, Andre, I guess that's part of that's at least part of how I wanted to set it up, is that there was, and I understand everybody's not going to be doing some conscious rap.
No,
that's not what I'm saying.
No, not at all.
But I'll say it like this. It's interesting because you happen to bring him up, but like I think of, and this is just for me, the last person who was a rapper who I really ever paid any attention to, and it's crazy for me to let this come out of my mouth because I never thought about it this way as it was happening. Last rapper I've even cared about at all was Kanye West.
He ain't even a rapper though.
That's my point. Like literally, that's the last time I was ever in tune or in touch. It lost me back then. Because I at least felt like Kanye not only had you could argue, you know, I mean, I ain't gonna take him in no battle against nobody necessarily, but the content was something that it still felt familiar to me, to what I grew up with. After him, and so I kind of feel like it's lost for me. But then again, I'm old, so what say you, Andre?
Right.
So there's a couple ways, you know, looking at this. So rap music took off, and when it took off, it accidentally took off, meaning it got really, really big, really, really fast, and the machine wasn't ready for it. The machine couldn't figure out how to control how fast. Like that was how NWA ended up, you know. It ended up at the White House and things like that. How Luke ended up with band stickers and all, like, because they didn't expect this little section music to wait.
White kids they didn't think white kids would like it. Yeah,
that's what it was. The white kids started buying it.
Yeah,
and that's when they said we got to protect,
making people really, really rich, really, really fast.
Right.
And so it accidentally, and so that's what I mean when I say it accidentally. But as all things that are controlled, and let's not act like music's not controlled, there's ways to still be manipulated by it. So full disclosure, with me being an artist, I don't consider myself just a rapper because I am, you know, a writer and all this other stuff. Neither here nor there. But when we get to this point of looking at why does music sound the way it does, it's because there's somebody in a boardroom that wants the music to sound how it does. It's not, we don't have control. Like if you want to hear real rap or, you know, things like that, SoundCloud, different like art, local shows and things like that, that's where you're going to find it. There's of the Toby Niguez, there's probably 30 of them that you'll never hear of because they don't want you to hear about them. They're not trying to sign them. They're not trying to pub them. So yes, there's a machine behind it that's saying, okay, it took us this long to catch up, but now that we're here, let's go ahead and flood the streets with drug music. Let's flood the streets. Yeah. Like right now, the music itself, the Chronic was considered to be completely dangerous at the time that it came out. They talk about weed, but now we look at the Chronic like as nothing. Like if somebody just came out and started like Afro Man, he just made the news because they raided his house. And so when he was talking about Because I Got High, like that was some unbelievable stuff. But now, like if somebody just came out with weed songs, they'd be like, whatever. Like Snoop could come out with another weed song and they'd be whatever. That's not gonna move the needle. But let me get somebody talking about Oxy and Perks. Y'all, yeah, we're gonna pub that. That's where we need to put the money into that. Nobody cares about the weed. We care about the Oxy and Perks.
Big Pharma.
We need to tear down society with that now. Sipping on sizzle. It was like, okay, now we got something. We got something that's killing them. The whole RICO charges and things like that. We've been talking about. Sean talked about RICO charges in Bad Boy, but now we're paying attention to it because gangs are making real money at this point, and because the machine doesn't have control over you, like just that YouTube presence that like
it's bigger than them. Yeah, it's bigger than them.
But they figured. But the reason these RICO charges are coming up and all these different things is because this is them taking it back. Like, hey, you can get as big as you want to. You've done your damage to the Black community. Time for you to go to jail now. Congratulations. Your prize for succeeding is a 20-year bid. And people snitching on you.
Like, I believe you. I believe you, young thug. So let's go to jail. I believe you that bad. You that gangster. You right. Let's go to jail.
Yep. He hadn't changed his content from the time he came out 10 years ago.
No.
But his usefulness has been served.
Yes.
And that's all they're waiting for. They're just waiting for the cycle to end. Like, okay, his numbers are starting to dip. He ain't putting out as much content anymore. All right,
This is a good time to go ahead.
Let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Give them 20 years, you're going to serve 12.
Yeah. So that's where I think, yes, the usefulness and quote unquote usefulness of rap music to that degree has been played out. Like women and body shaming and like, I promise you, if you just sit here and if one day it would be painful if you just sat here and listened to the radio of every female artist that came out right now and listen to the content of what they're going through and then turn around and look at the Black community and what they're going through. It's not a secret that those two things mirror each other.
Absolutely. I was just getting ready to say, because I was watching this, I happened to be up and I was watching on Vice. I don't even know how I found Vice TV, but they were talking.
You always find the craziest stories, though,
right? You know what I'm saying? And they happened to be talking about the 90s. They were talking about the 90s and the talk towards, and they were talking about Arsenio Hall. And I remember how it was a big deal because he had 2 Live Crew on. And I was thinking about how, like, a lot of people don't realize how much Luther Campbell's influence on hip hop made a big deal because he actually was smart enough to know how to use his money and navigate certain things. But the point was, the reason why I bring it up is I was thinking to myself how in the church world, he was literally like, you had Satan and then Luther Campbell was right there next to him like this. And it was a big deal when he was on Arsenio Hall because they were like, how could you do such a thing? But I was thinking to myself, like, they wouldn't even bleep Luke. They wouldn't even beat him out. They wouldn't even like censor him on the radio. Too short. Like I was thinking, I made this joke one time. I think it was last year, a couple years ago. I was like, Too Short doesn't let his kids listen to Doja Cat. Like, for any reason. The music itself has changed. But when we think about the content of it, it's almost like, it's strange to me because it's like, you talked about the RICO charges. It's almost like they want to get the charges. Like that's how they prove their worth and their credibility somehow.
Yo, check this out.
It used to be how many gold chains, how many Benzes, what can I show in the video, how many chicks can I have around me, you know, butt naked in bikinis while we, you know, on the set. And now it's like, now it's, I kind of want the RICO charges because that's how I'm valid with something.
Right. It's like, let me call Vlad and tell on myself.
Yep.
And I told y'all about that dude years ago. I said, I don't even click on dude's stuff because I see what he's doing.
Right.
And I told people that. And then all of a sudden, people start getting killed and arrested. And they're like, hey, Vlad's a bad guy. You know what, Paul? You did say that.
Yeah. But it was only 1,000 times.
It was only 1,000 times. Yeah. No, it was 10 years ago, actually. Right. But that's neither here nor there. But I saw something today scrolling, right? 2 rappers. And I like this one rapper. I like them both. Their music, both of their music is actually decent. Freddie Gibbs and Benny the Butcher.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Benny the Butcher puts an IG post up showing the chain that they snatched off of Freddie Gibbs when they jumped him on tape.
You told me about it, yeah.
No, this just happened. Like this is like yesterday, okay? Now Freddie Gibbs comes on there and says, you wasn't even there. You was just with the dude with the camera. You didn't fight. Like, that's how you go to jail, bruh.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we out here, you know, like Andre, he was saying, like, you know, yeah, he's more than just an artist, but it's like Andre not on Vlad. No. Andre ain't out here snatching chains. Mm-mm. Fortunately, Andre big enough where most people see his chain and be like, nah, I'm going to go get little dude's chain.
I'm going to save my money.
Right. But that's kind of the thing. It's almost like the validity in you being the artist has nothing to do with your art. And that's why I said, as far as has it lost its usefulness when it comes to the culture? And I asked that question because reflexively, almost, Black people will defend rap music. They will defend it. They treat it like, no, we got to save it. And I'm maybe I'm missing something because I don't know enough about it. I'm like, does it need to be saved?
Well, full disclosure, we owe. It's not our time anymore. And they talking to our kids. At the end of the day, they not talking to us no more.
Right.
Yeah, this is true.
And
I don't know how I can say it.
No, I can promise you who still has to step into that arena and produce and all these other things. Like what rap has become is nothing short of amazing. And I'm not talking about amazing in a good way. We're not talking.
No. It is more
talking Luther Vandross so amazing. We talking
even
about
the battles. They don't even rap on beats in the battles no more. They sit there and cap on each other for 3 minutes, and they get to mess up and start over.
Oh,
listen,
they talking real close, like right here in the
right
in his face. Like
Paul, tell him we did that on the bus every day, twice. Okay, both ways. Like that's all we did.
Right.
Like
ain't nothing else to
do. Wow. All right. Well, with that, then, now that we've officially got rappers, we got rappers mad at us. We got women who buy fake eyelashes
and them dangerous ass Talib brothers.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the Talib brothers is.
I don't want no smoke, Key. I don't want no smoke. Y'all shoot people, man. I'm good, man. I don't want no problems.
Listen.
And I'm gonna tuck my chain. I saw what you did to Crabtree. I like my chain.
He said, I ain't big as Andre, I'm gonna tuck mine in.
I ain't no easy win, but I don't want no smoke.
Yeah, nah. How about this? But let's go ahead and get to our APBs this week. So with that, we'll start with you, Andre. What's your APB for the week?
My APB is I know I picked on him earlier in the first few episodes, but I gotta circle back. Joe. Joe, you got on television 2 days ago and talked about this student loan forgiveness, and decided to make an announcement. Anybody making under 125 gets $10,000 loan forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
But that ain't what you said when you ran. You was talking about wiping away student loans, and you didn't say a portion. You didn't say just a fraction. You had us voting for you because you said all. I'm just looking for campaign promises. Like we well into your second year. We about to re-up and decide whether we're gonna do for the next 4 years pretty soon, starting next year. You're not really like, okay, you got the COVID thing together. Like, I don't even know if you got it together or if we finally got it together. I ain't really figured out what happened with COVID, but monkeypox is coming and all this. But yeah, you're a little light on the campaign promises. Like you're a little light on doing the things that you said you was going to do to get us to vote for you. And I'm not happy about that, Joe. I'm talking directly to you, Joe. Me and you, Joe. Me, Joe, and Daniel Cameron can all have a conversation at this point. Because I'm not happy about the job that any of them doing when it comes to doing what they were hired to do. So I'm not going on a big long lecture about it, but that's my APB is I'm gonna need campaign promises to come through, or we're gonna have to figure out how to get an independent to win the election. Because this is all bad at this point. That's it.
Okay, we're gonna have to give Joe his own segment soon.
Yeah,
because I got some thoughts, and we coming up on the time where I think it's good to dig into that a little bit. What you got, Paul? What's your APB this week?
My APB is for a gentleman named Mark Ponder. If you don't know who Mark Ponder is, he received a 60-month sentence for the January 6th stuff when they ran up in there and messed everything up. Here's the interesting thing about Mark Ponder. He's a black man who ran up on the insurrection of January 6th. A black man. Could you imagine that? And they gave him the longest sentence of all the people that they prosecuted. So my APB is for all the boys, wherever he is in GP, to introduce themselves, to find Mark Ponder and introduce themselves to him. And make friends.
The easy way or the hard way.
Hey, you're going to be there for 5 years. Make some friends. Now, does he get... Now, I'm curious. I got questions because prison is heavily segregated.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So I'm wondering where he going to eat, like I said, I got a real APB out for, I'm concerned for Buddy. I don't know how he gonna get through the next 60 months.
Wow.
Yep, that's it.
We all make choices.
Yeah, we all make choices. Mark Ponder.
His next choice is jelly or syrup.
Wow. Dang. You did that. Okay. Wow. Guess let me. Whew, not that actually I kind of do need to lighten the mood.
Yeah, that was the heaviest one I think I've ever had.
Dang.
That is.
Y'all, this man. Truth be told, I was still trying to recover from Daniel Cameron a couple weeks ago. Like,
right.
This is, man. I thought about him all the way up 64 driving up here. Drove right past Frankfurt. Like, I wonder if I see him if I stop at the speedway right quick. No, my APB is really simple. Okay. And I think about this all the time. I drive a lot. I haven't driven nearly as much, frankly, since COVID. But I'm one of them kind of people. Everybody's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fly. That's too far." Listen, I have about a 10-hour window. If I can get there in 10 hours by car, I'm probably going to take the car. Only because, and it's not. I don't have like a fear of flying. I fly all the time, but I prefer not to fly because it's just such a hassle as far as getting the ticket scheduled. I got to plan it out weeks and months ahead because I'm not paying you $700 to do a round trip, and I'm not about to do a layover in Grand Rapids, none of that, right? So I drive a lot, and I was trying to teach the kids something, and they literally looked at me like I had 3 horns growing out my head, like I was crazy. We're driving down the road, and anybody who was young, I'm gonna lean over so you can see this. We used to do this thing where it's like you drive past the truck and you do like this, right? And they honk back. Man, I've tried this several times. I've had between Delaware and Kentucky, like I said, it's about a 10-hour trip, give or take. I've tried this several trucks, and they just looked at me like, "What are you doing?" One person thought I was flicking them off. I was like, "Man, I just want you to honk my horn for my kids in the back seat, like they right here." So my APB is very simple. If you over the road truck driving, I'm gonna need you to know what this is. Where y'all at? Okay, I'm not flexing my biceps. I just want my APB is for anybody who's over the road truck driving. I need you to bring back honking your horn, and I need the people on the road to not get offended when he does honk the horn. He's not honking at you. He honking because I got kids in the back. It's summertime. This is what people do. Like, are we that far gone? Am I that old?
Yep.
Does nobody remember that?
I remember it.
I just want you to honk your horn, bro. Because my kids still, I
haven't thought about doing it since I was probably 8, though.
Okay, so 40 years ago. That's not the point. I'm just saying, like, don't kids want to hear the honk? Okay, fine. Forget the kid. I want you to honk. Do it for me. Okay? So my APB is for truck drivers to honk your horn when I give you the horn symbol. I know your horn ain't even up there no more. All my truck driving friends out there, all my buddies, like one of my best friends, Dusty, he drives.
Billy.
I know my man Keen. I know Keenan West. I know you out there. Keen Logistics, shout out. Honk your horn for the kids, man.
Oh.
Okay, Shalik. I know you drive. This is a friend of mine. Her name is Shalik, right? Good, like, you're in Pennsylvania, so honk your horn when you see him do it, okay? That's my APB, man. Honk for the kids and me.
Right. Honk for Billy. He don't care about the kids.
It's all about
honk for somebody. Man. Anyway.
We still got one more APB.
Yeah.
It's getting crucial at this time, but
it's getting harder and harder every week too.
And man, every week is getting harder and harder.
Boy.
Progress is slow. Dennis Rodman said he was going, and he said he ain't going. It is a lot going on, but still sending out an APB for Brittany Griner, and just man, it's a sad thing to sit here and think about somebody being in jail for 9 years over that, over a teaspoon. Just part of a political game and a pissing contest is really all this is. So I'm still sending love and light to her as she goes through this. But if y'all want to sign the petition, go to www.wearebg.org just to go ahead and sign and let her know we're still thinking about her and that she matters. But just wanted to put that in there as well.
Well, everybody, that's it. That's what we got for you this week. Thank you for dropping in and taking some time to listen. And we invite you to always leave comments, email us in questions if you want to have a topic that you want us to cover. We'd love to hear from you. We thank you so much for your support and taking the time to join us each week. We hope to be back next week and bring you something fresh, something interesting. And as always, be blessed.
Yeah, like and share, subscribe, do all those things. Quick shout out to Sharice for knowing that the Bengals offensive line is still trash, and that Joe's life is still in danger. Even if she doesn't watch sports, she know enough to know Joe's life is in danger.
Leave my wife out of this, bro. Leave her alone.
We got some football specials coming because that's who we are. So be on the lookout for those as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Y'all, peace and love.
All right. Take care.